Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
I'm so sick of the travel narrative. You sit in a chair in the sky for half a day. The miracle of flight. It's not exactly difficult.
And Brandon Schultz.
He's at that Skip Bayless level of media attention, so it's not like us talking about him gives him any more of a platform than he already has.
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake. On game day, 12 man, yeah, he's feeling it is vital.
This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Good to see you once again, Brandon, live and in person up here in Kalispell, Montana, celebrating a Hawks victory, which that's what I like to celebrate more than a Hawks loss, because celebrating losses, not quite as much fun, although there's more beer.
NFC West Champions. Champions.
Well, yeah, they won the NFC West.
Yeah.
We're not champions yet.
NFC West Champions.
It's step one on the way to champions.
I believe it says champions on the hats and t-shirts.
I'm sure it does. It just feels like it's a lesser champion.
It is on the structure of champions. It is on the lower tier.
Lower tier champions.
There's still NFC champions, and then there are world champions.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, yes, step one along the way to be all the champions.
Yes. You mark off. That's your first checkbox. You actually have a checkbox you can put a check mark in.
It's as if the Seahawks opened their Seahawks advent calendar, and this was the first thing you pulled out was NFC West Championship.
That would be like 24 days, though. What else is there? Like, you have to go like MVP, defensive MVP, like on the advent calendar of accomplishments.
I think John Schneider should get a GM of the Year award, like somewhere in there. Yeah. And Pete Carroll should be recognized for the coach he is, other than just by Chris Sims on Bleacher Report.
Well, now you're just being like super wishful.
Yeah. Well, 'tis the season, Brandon. 'Tis the season. I've been working with Santa for like a few weeks. I've got Santa magic on the brain. Yeah. Magic.
that could
Brandon.
be. Well, I'm glad that Santa allowed you to get away for a few minutes and record a show this week.
Yes, absolutely. He gave me a little break. He put the elves to work double time. So he gave me a little break here to talk about an interesting game and a victory over the Rams.
We'll talk about a victory over the Rams. We're going to talk about the upcoming matchup against the Cardinals. We have to answer the question of how many pumps is too many pumps.
Mm-hmm. There's no answer. We already know the answer.
Well, we know the answer.
It's been clarified.
But we do have to discuss it.
Yeah.
And we'll get into an interview. We have Darin Pike coming on the show. One of our very first interviews we've ever had on the show. And he's coming back for another guest appearance.
Yeah, very cool. I enjoy Darin quite a bit. So that's a lot of fun. Stay tuned for that.
Let's get into the show, Adam, because I know it's been a while. So I feel like we're going to be catching people up on what exactly happened in that Rams game.
Right. I mean, the recap seems like forever ago, so it's tough to remember everything that happened there. But there's one thing that you couldn't forget, and that is the searing vision of those ugly ass uniforms that I can never wash from my brain. I can't take my top of my head off like Ray Liotta did in one of those Silence of the Lambs movie and like scrub my brain. I can't do that.
You can't do that.
Can't.
I have a question for you, Adam. This is a serious question.
Okay, I got a serious answer for you.
Now that the Wolf Grays have lost their magic.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Action Greens the new Wolf Grays?
No, and no. Yeah, I still contend that last game against Green Bay didn't happen. That didn't happen. And so the Wolf Grays have not lost their magic, in my opinion, because they were on a bye that week.
Well, they also had a tie against the Cardinals. So, are you saying ties don't count now against Magic?
No, ties don't count because ties aren't a loss.
Okay.
Yeah. So those uniforms, an abomination. Can't have that again. I hope to never see that again. Even in a win, I hope to never see that again.
I thought it was fun.
It was not fun.
Thursday night game. They have the color rush thing. It's a one-time thing. I like it.
They need to. It's time to.
And they got the win, and they won an NFC West Championship.
That all true facts. Now, one thing that we need to agree on is all the Thursday games need to go away. And all the color rush needs to go away.
Well, all the Thursday games except for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Those are still on Thursday.
Right. They don't count as Thursday games. Those are Thanksgiving games.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I differentiate those in my mind.
They're not going away. And you know what? You know who else isn't going away? Frank Clark, because that is how this game got started off, with a huge sack by Frank Clark.
4-man rush. Goff steps up. He gets hit. He goes down all the way back to the 10-yard line. Frank Clark gets there for the sack. He'd been shut out the last couple of games, not tonight. First series, and he puts one on the board for the Hawks.
Clark setting the tone, gets his 8th sack of the season. He shares one with Cliff Avril a little bit later on to get up to 9 on the season. We got 2 guys almost in double digits. Well, one guy who is in double digits with Cliff Avril, but Frank Clark right there too.
Yeah, Frank Clark having a big year. You know, this is something that we all kind of felt like was coming for him. I mean, we saw these flashes last year. He really is a special player, and you can understand why the Seahawks drafted him so highly a couple years back here. And, you know, even through a lot of the criticism, and it's because of this talent level. And he really has put in the work. He can be a game wrecker out there. When you have him, Bennett, and Avril out there, that is a heck of a pass rush. It showed up in this game, and I understand that we've had some struggles in the pass rush here in the recent past, but these are the cornerstones of a very, very good defensive line.
Well, I think we've seen that it is important to have, if you were to take Michael Bennett out of it, I don't think you would see quite the amount of success from Cliff Avril and Frank Clark combined.
Oh, I think without question. I think some of the struggles with the pass rush were the fact that Michael Bennett was out of the lineup. And I mean, Mike Bennett's still coming back from the knee issue. I mean, he had surgery on the knee. They cut his knee open and did stuff in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just bounce back and be awesome again. I mean, I guess some people do if your name's Adrian Peterson, but I mean, Bennett's still kind of rounding into form, and I think these guys are going to have a strong push as we go down the stretch and into the playoffs. But you saw that the defensive line made life hard for Jared Goff throughout this game. Although I thought Goff, gave a pretty good performance, with all things considered. I mean, he really did have some big throws. I mean, he had, what was it, Mike Thomas drop a deep ball that was probably a surefire touchdown.
Yeah, beat Steve Terrell down the field, and it looked like it was going to be a touchdown for sure, and right off his fingertips, just like in that Dolphins game earlier this year. But, you have to have receivers who can catch the ball.
Right. Yeah. Catching the ball, step one for receivers. I think, one thing is that some of that luck kind of balances out, too. I mean, there's guys that make incredible catches against you that there's no way they should have made. And then there's ones that get dropped that they should have absolutely
hit him
made.
right in the fingers.
And, it hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. But I guess the one criticism of Goff is he missed, quick in the end zone.
Wide open.
And I mean, sometimes you throw a clunker, but I thought he acquitted himself well. The Rams actually moved the ball a fair amount in this game.
Yeah, they had a couple solid drives where they moved the ball in the Seahawks defense. And how are the refs so bad at spotting the football?
Oh, man.
Let me just get that out of the way, because it was a 4th down where the Rams, they had a great drive going. They give it to Todd Gurley on a 4th down call, and the Seahawks, the defense, clearly it looked like it stopped them. And one of the things going back in the replay, you heard Collinsworth saying over and over, there's no reference point as to where to stop the ball. So how are the officials going to overturn it? Well, they're going to overturn it because it was so obvious that he was short of the line.
Yeah, those were pretty bad. I mean, I had to watch the beginning of the game on a computer monitor about like 15 feet away. And even that, like I looked at Santa, I was like, there's no way that's a first down. And, he's like, oh yeah, no, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like from 15 feet away, we could both see that. And then also from Montana away, like I don't get it.
Forces Coach Carroll to burn 2 challenges in the first quarter of the game,
right,
on spotting the ball.
Yeah.
And then he uses his 3rd challenge on another spot, which
he just got cocky.
I think he got cocky. Or he was trying to make a point to the officials. Like, look, how come I have to keep burning my timeouts for you to spot the ball appropriately?
Right. They need to work on their spot game this offseason, right. For sure. I think Dino Blandino is going to have some splaining to do to Pete Carroll about some of that.
It's not hard. If you're the official on the side, you line it up with your eyeballs and you walk straight in, and that's where you put the ball.
You have to go straight, huh? Is that what it is?
I think that's part of the important part is going straight to where
Right.
You want to place the ball.
Well, one thing that the officials got right on some of the spots is that the Rams did go 0 for 4 on 4th down. So, I mean, they give him credit, man. John Fossil came in and really did, try to go for everything that he possibly could have. And whether that was fake punts or whatever, I mean, he really did pull out all the stops he had left in the playbooks because what the hell?
Yeah, I don't see him as a good coach for doing those sorts of things, though.
What else is he supposed to do? He's got one shot. Swing for the fences every time.
Yeah, well, he made some bad choices in critical points in the game. If they go for a field goal when that's and get points instead of coming away with nothing on that Gurley run on 4th down, and then the fourth that fake punt, 4th and 9, and then Hecker doesn't even get the ball.
Yeah, I know.
How does he throw that so short? And
he's a punter.
Well, yeah, but also a former quarterback. We've seen him make those throws, and he was even if the guy catches that ball, he's 5 yards short of the first down.
Sure. Yeah, no, all good points there. With all those things though that we just talked about, right? Didn't it feel like the Hawks should have won this game like 45-3?
This game felt a little weird.
Okay, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm completely underwhelmed with this win.
I feel like I should be happier about the win because it's a win over the Rams and it's an NFC West Championship win.
Clinching win, yeah.
But I didn't feel good about the win.
I didn't either. I didn't feel good about the way the team performed throughout the whole game for the most part. I mean, the secondary got ripped up a little bit. I mean, you saw Terrell basically give up what should have been a touchdown. He's the guy filling in for Earl Thomas and somebody that we all have our eyes on. The rest of the league does too. The offense sputtered at times. I will say this: the offensive line did hold their own against the Rams defensive front that completely dominated them back in, what was that, week 2? Was it week 2 or week 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, beginning of the year and
week 2, because that was the Rams home opener.
There it was. Yeah. So week 2. Even though it's not good still, you saw improvement. The run game really never got on track.
Maybe that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
Not just Thomas Rawls getting hit in the backfield over and over again. I think I saw a stat where on 21 attempts or 22 attempts that he was hit behind the line for negative 10 yards. And then everything after that, that's how he got his rushing yards, was breaking tackles in the backfield. Yeah,
there was where was I? Oh, yeah, it was this Thursday night game where we were watching it at the Elks Lodge, and there's a dude up at the bar kind of to the side of our table who kept saying, "Oh, Rawls stinks," and is like, "Wait, what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to disappear, levitate, and like somehow pop up like 10 yards downfield?
Yeah,
that's the only way he's getting anywhere. He's got dudes on him before he can even think. I mean, heck, Russell Wilson even like just kept the ball on one running play just so Thomas Rawls didn't get drilled before he could even, take the ball out of Russell's hand."
Yeah, there were at least 2 or 3 plays where guys came completely unblocked through the line and just crushed Rawls in the backfield.
Right. That's not a Thomas Rawls problem.
Yeah. That's an offensive line problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no football expert. I just play one on the podcast. But this is one of those things that you don't have to be real smart to understand that this is not a Thomas Rawls problem.
You shouldn't have to juke a guy as you're accepting the handoff.
No, you're supposed to be able to accept the handoff, go a few yards, read a hole or 2, but heaven forbid you have more than 1.
Right.
And then you make a cut, and he doesn't have that luxury right now, and it's just tough. It's real tough on him, and I think that was maybe one of the bigger disappointments throughout the game. This Rams team is not good. I know the score says that we dominated here, but I didn't feel like we dominated.
No, it felt like it was a lot closer, and I think a big part of that was those coaching decisions where the Rams left points on the field because they were trying to score touchdowns to keep up with the Seahawks, and part of that was the Seahawks got on the board first with a touchdown to Luke Wilson.
Play fake to Rawls. Russell half roll left. Looks, dumps the ball. This time it's caught. Luke Wilson is in. Touchdown! Seahawks! That time right on the money with the ball to Luke Wilson. An 8-yard touchdown reception. And the Seahawks here in the second quarter get on the board. They lead the Rams 6-0.
I want to talk about this drive because this drive is the one that I noticed where I think we had an MVP type performance. And it wasn't from any of the players. It was from Russell Wilson's knee brace, because at the end of the first quarter, Russell Wilson sacked by William Hayes. I guess it was a sack. It was a tackle for, got him like right at the line of scrimmage, but it counts as a sack.
Sure.
And Russell's knee brace just gets absolutely destroyed on the tackle. I didn't like how it looked when he went down, and seeing how mangled that knee brace was, that brace may have saved the Seahawks season.
Oh yeah, clearly it has. I mean, that was a scary moment, and that's the reason he's going to be wearing that brace throughout the rest of the season. And just like you said, without it, man, I mean, we're talking about Trevon Boykin trying to take us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how thin the margin of error is for this team right now. And yeah, Luke Wilson scores a touchdown on that drive. Congratulations. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. That's all I got to say about that.
You and your Luke Wilson dislike.
Yeah, we
have a new Huckleberry now. Don't you know it's Jermaine Kearse? That's
well, I'm not the one who yells at Jermaine Kearse. I'm not the one.
You're not going to be that guy.
I'm not Kearse.
Okay.
No.
Well, he had another bad game as Russell Wilson's one throw to him in the end zone, way off. And I think, was there a penalty on that play? It doesn't matter. And then the second throw to Kearse, again, inside the red zone, an interception to close out the game in the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah, those aren't good looks. But, I mean, if you're talking about the red zone, at least the Seahawks had some efficiency there, went 2 for 3 in the red zone. That's an area that they needed improvement.
Yeah.
That's one of the places that you can look at when you look at this game and say, okay, that is a positive sign going forward.
Well, we played the one touchdown inside the red zone, and then the second one was one of my favorite plays of the game, a 1-yard touchdown to Doug Baldwin.
Russell's going to lay it up over the top. Doug Baldwin, touchdown, Seahawks! And they just lost Doug Baldwin. He was wide open in the back corner of the end zone, and Troy Hill, had no idea where he was, and Russell laid it up over the top. A tough way to score 6 points, but the Seahawks finally punch it in.
Troy Hill still looking for his ankles, I think, after that play.
Doug Baldwin's got to be a Pro Bowler this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's time.
Even though he doesn't have the touchdown numbers like he had last season, it's time for Doug Baldwin to be in the Pro Bowl.
I completely concur. He's a heck of a player. And it really, I mean, his route running and his quickness off the line, I mean, it's really, he could be the best in the league right now at that. And it's really fun to watch. And I can see why that was one of your favorite plays from the game. No doubt.
Well, it came after the Rams nearly intercepted Russell Wilson going on first down. They threw to the end zone to Jimmy Graham in the back of the end zone. He nearly loses the ball. Luckily, he was out of bounds and touching the ball on that throw, because the Rams nearly intercepted it. And Richard Sherman apparently went off on the sidelines, verifying he is in fact a Seahawks fan, because Richard Sherman does not like throwing from the 1-yard line anymore.
No, he's over it.
I guess he was yelling at the offensive coordinator. We got an email here from Brandon in San Diego, says, sheesh, another Sherman meltdown on the sideline. I get where Sherm is coming from when he questioned the pass play to Jimmy Graham, but there is a time and a place for that, to be quite honest. I would go to Jimmy Graham as well, too. Isn't this why we traded for the guy? To get a big-bodied red zone threat after the game, which shall not be named. That's what we're missing at the 1-yard line. Right. That's why we got Graham. He says, yes, there are times I get absolutely frustrated with the offense and think to myself, the defense must be hating that side of the ball right now. But why not take the offense or coaching staff to task after the game or during practice? Yapping like a Yorkie on the sideline to your boss isn't the best way of going about this. I'm extremely grateful for everything Richard Sherman has brought to this franchise, and I know it's part of Richard Sherman being Richard Sherman, but you got to check that at the door. I'm sure there were plenty of times the Green Bay defense wanted to kill Brett Favre when he was throwing away games, but just like Adam tells the listeners, don't panic and trust the process. Either way, I'm glad we picked up the W, especially against the Rams with I Like Burgers, Todd Gurley, and fake punt flop Johnny Hecker. Keep up the great work, guys, and as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Look, I don't mind Sherman melting down on the sideline with this at all. I mean, I really don't. You need a team to show fire, and I think that's the exact right time to bring it up. Because what? You bring it up like 3-4 days later and you're not nearly as upset about it. And like, you're like, hey, maybe don't throw on the one instead of like melting down, be like, what the catfish are we doing? What are we doing? You know, I appreciate it because I think it needed to be said.
Well, I appreciate it in the sense that I know it's not just me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You want them to care.
Yeah, no, Richard Sherman clearly has a care to spare.
He has passion.
Yes. And I like seeing it pop out. It doesn't bother me at all. I understand the whole idea of like air your dirty laundry in public, and you know that's not a great deal in some ways, but there's a difference between like being like, hey, what the hell's going on here? And then, you know, like totally humiliating somebody on the sidelines or humiliating, you know, a player or a coach in a press conference or something like that. There's definitely a difference there, and I don't think this was over the line at all.
Yeah, that didn't bother. It was more, and maybe you didn't hear some of his post game quotes, but what Sherman said was, you know, I was making sure Pete knew we were not comfortable with you throwing the ball on the one, and he went on to say, you know, we throw an interception at the one. Luckily, it went incomplete, and I wasn't going to let them continue to do that.
Well. Hey, man, he felt like he had a responsibility to stand up and be like, hey, you guys are getting hormonal and cute here. We've talked about Pete saying he gets hormonal and does dumb things sometimes. And maybe that's what this was.
Maybe. But
we're all tired of Bevel getting cute at the goal line.
That is true. And the good thing that came out of it, apparently Richard Sherman and Coach Carroll sat down on Monday and had a little bit of a talk. Mm-hmm. And because I think Pete was a little bit concerned with what he was hearing from Sherman, and after the meeting was very satisfied with the discussion that they had. So
right. Well, he was definitely going to tell you if he wasn't satisfied with the discussion when it was all said and done, and that there was a problem and like it was an issue still. He was definitely going to tell you that.
Oh, well, you're right.
Okay. I was just saying, what else did you expect to hear? Of course, everything's sunshine and rainbows and puppies.
Yeah.
You know, there's another player that I think was having himself a good time out there and was thinking about sunshine, rainbows, and puppies. And that was Hingle McCringleberry.
Yes. Let's talk about how many pumps is too many pumps. Here's an email from Mike Meskel in Portland. Says, and you can find him at Mike Meskel on Twitter. Says, mankind has always grappled with tough questions. Do we truly have free will? What happens after death? What is the meaning of life? How many pelvic thrusts is too many? At least one of those questions was answered tonight, thanks to Mike Bennett. 3 pelvic thrusts is apparently too many, even though the announcer incorrectly called it twerking. I guess
right.
A belly roll or a snow angel would be acceptable, but not that 3rd pelvic thrust. Perhaps next week, Bennett can find the answer to the question, is God real? Well,
he is Moses Bread, right? Isn't that his Twitter handle?
That's true.
He should be able to tell you.
He should be able to tell you. And Flocktimus Prime says, new nickname for Moses Bread 72. No longer Black Senna. Now Black Chris McCringleberry. Hashtag too many pumps.
Too many pumps. And apparently, look, the referees couldn't understand where to spot the ball. That rule they don't have figured out, but they know the Key and Peele. If you guys haven't seen it, the Key and Peele, a show that was on Comedy Central for quite some time, had a great skit. It was actually one of my favorites of theirs. Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of that show, but that skit was hilarious. Basically, the receiver did exactly what Michael Bennett was doing, the McCringleberry, where like basically they taunt the referees with the pelvic thrusting.
Well, I would one criticism I would have is that McCringleberry, for his 3rd thrust, he went very subtle with the 3rd thrust.
Right.
It was only because the official was 2 inches
away, yes. from the thrusting
area.
Yeah. Now, look, as funny as it is and all that, I understand there was a different penalty on the play that was accepted, if I remember correctly. But
there was a defensive holding.
Yeah. That's a bonehead freaking play. That's a bonehead play. You hurt the team by being, and I understand they're up a zillion points at this point. Like I get
they're
all
having
of that.
Fun. Stop being.
No, that is unacceptable, soldier.
Stop being a Grinch.
No, that is unacceptable, soldier. You can't do that. You can't do that. That is hurting the team when it's all said and done, because you do that in that moment and then you lose your mind in an important moment. And because it's in you and these are things that you do, you end up doing something stupid when it matters. And it's just bad practice. It's bad practice. I don't like it.
I like Coach Carroll's quote on Monday during his coach's show on 710. He said, do we play politics? Do we play war? No, we play football. And football's fun. Football's supposed to be fun.
All right, that's fine. I know Pete likes to let the guys be the guys and all that, but I mean, if you have a problem with Sherman yelling at a coach, you need to have a problem with Michael Bennett McCringle bearing.
I don't know. I think you can. I think you can enjoy one another.
I think it's tit for tat.
Well, one thing I do enjoy, starting off the fourth quarter, Adam, it was the return of the sexy deep ball.
3rd down and 11 from the 43, and Wilson again out of the shotgun. 3 receivers far side, a 4-man rush. Russell has some time to step up and let it fly.
Hey, I'm Russell Wilson, and I throw a sexy deep ball.
Got a man open, lock it down the near sideline. 10, 5, touchdown, Seahawks! Tyler Lockett gets in behind the secondary, and Russell that time laid up a beauty. 57 yards for the touchdown, and the Seahawks stretch their lead to 23-3.
I like how that you're able to pick up in the audio, and you may not have heard it, Adam, because it was very subtle. But Russell Wilson calling his shot, saying, "I'm Russell Wilson, and I throw a sexy deep ball." It gets in there every time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Well, Rabel's really sneaky hitting the play button on that.
Well, no, it's not Rabel. I think it's the audio guys on the field able to pick that up. You know how the guys with the sound shields?
With the shields? Yeah. Those are pretty handy, by the way. I want a sound shield. Those look pretty good. Like, you could stop a riot with one. I feel like, it's a lot like the riot gear shields. And then also you could like surveillance, like, your wife if she's cheating on you. I think those could be handy. But the sexy deep ball did make a return. That was fun. That was something that I'm sure every fantasy owner in the land of Tyler Lockett thought they'd see a ton of this season.
Right.
But
I'd like to see more of it too.
Well, 2 guys with bum knees for half the year finally getting on the same page, and you could see that chemistry and their ability to get that done. You kind of show up there, and that was nice. It was kind of a nice cherry on top of things.
Yeah, puts the Seahawks up 24-3 in the fourth quarter, and it put the game out of reach. And we saw after that the Rams still trying to score, and Richard Sherman absolutely blows up Jared Goff as he's trying to run for the end zone. And that it didn't even matter because the Rams were called for holding on that play.
Right.
But Richard Sherman just laying the wood to Goff on the sideline.
Yeah, welcome to the NFL, Mr. Goff.
and hearing Fossil talk about it after the game, he almost was chuckling about it himself, saying, Goff needs to get out of bounds. He needs to learn that he needs to get out of bounds, and that play is going to help him remember that.
Man, that could have been so much worse for Goff, too. Like, Sherman kind of missed him a little bit, hit him kind of more in the hands and the arms shoulder, out in front of him, rather than just have him like a square up shot. I mean, if he would have hit him,
and if he would have missed him, Cam Chancellor was coming right in behind him.
Right. Yeah, and that would have been even worse.
Right.
So, yeah, that was some LOB kind of things right there. That was pretty cool. But he was not the only man to get blowed up in this game.
Michael Bennett got blowed up.
Oh, you're missing the best one.
I don't know if I'm missing it, but I think the play that you're talking about is Jon Ryan and his 26-yard run up the middle on a fake punt.
So the C's part, like the field is open, it is wide. There's nothing but
it was a 26-yard run.
Yeah,
and he had nobody touch him. Until the end, and somehow throws the ball in the air just in the middle of the run, just to add a little degree of difficulty or something. I don't know. He makes the Jon Ryan face in there, and then the way he recatches the ball and starts to go down is so awkward, is so punter awkward, and then he gets smoked at the end of it, and thank goodness he's okay. But I think I turned to you and I said, that was the best worst play ever. It was the best worst play ever because, one, it was a big catfish to the Rams.
Yeah. That was fun.
And that's the play that Pete was referring to when he asked, because they asked him, why do that play? Why run that play that late in the game when you've already got it carried away? And he said, yes. Do we play politics? No. Do we play war? No. We play football. Football's fun. Right. That was a fun play.
Yeah, it was, except for everybody except for Jon Ryan.
That's the interesting thing about these two concussions, both with Goff and both with Carroll. Both coaches were kind of laughing about the situations that they came from.
Did Carroll get concussed?
Did I say?
Yeah, you said Goff and Carroll. You mean Goff and Ryan?
Well, Goff and Ryan.
Okay. Because if he got concussed, that's bad for our deal, dude.
It would be bad for our deal.
We need coach to have all his mental faculties, man. Like, we need that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But no, Carroll and Fossil after the game were both kind of chuckling a little bit about their players' situations. And it's kind of a bad look, but it's also...
it's also football.
It's also football.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't play doctor.
And it happens.
Yeah, we don't play doctor. We play football.
Right.
Yeah. No, that was... oh, God, this is the most punter thing in the world, man. Like, that was the most punter play ever.
I like the meme where it has, Jon Ryan's face when he throws the touchdown pass in the NFC Championship game, right. And then Jon Ryan's face when he fumbles the ball.
Yeah.
And then it's him sitting down, just looking dejected, and said, I made the face again.
Right. So my question is, Brandon, do they ever let Jon Ryan do anything with the ball ever again?
Yes, they do, because we need to see that face more.
Do we?
I think so.
Okay.
If awesome things happen, yes.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
The concussion, not awesome. But the play was awesome. The touchdown pass by Ryan was awesome.
Do you think he just got nervous? Or
he was probably thinking, I need to secure the ball as I go into my slide. And as he was trying to secure the ball is when it slipped.
So maybe he needs to lift a little less or something. Do you think one of his big guns...
His guns got in the way.
Yeah. The guns popped the ball out?
I think so.
I just needed an explanation. I've yet to hear one from
Jon Ryan too strong seems like a good explanation.
There it is. Okay. All right. I want to blame the uniform somehow for that.
You can blame whatever you want.
But if we're going to talk about criticism a little bit, let's talk about this team in a sense, Brandon. Here's the thing that I came away from this game and from the previous few games here, going down the stretch, especially the road games. This team is flawed. It's significantly flawed. And I still think we're going to the Super Bowl, but it's going to be hard. This is not a 2013 kind of roster, and it's not a 2013 kind of team. If they get the ultimate prize at the end of this, they're going to have to do it in a very different way. And I don't feel as confident about it as I did, say, in 2013. I don't have that same feeling. I feel like they have all of the necessary ingredients in the sense that there's no other team out there, especially in the NFC, that I look at and say, oh, they've got our number. And that's including Green Bay, who, made us look like middle schoolers out there. I still think you take Green Bay and you bring them to the clink, and it's a bit of a different game. I don't think Aaron Rodgers can be that hot week in, week out. He had one of his best Aaron Rodgers games in a long time. I don't believe in that team. But short of the Cowboys? And I'm not even sure I believe in the Cowboys so much. I mean, they were down to Tampa, not just last night. They've been down to a lot of teams, and like a lot of these wins, even though they only have 2 losses on the record, have been close. So I think the Hawks have the same puncher's chance as just about anybody else in the NFC. But I definitely think that this is a roster that's going to need some significant tinkering when it comes to the offseason.
Well, I think when it comes to Dallas, I see a team that's able to, because they have such a solid offensive line, and you have Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. He's very efficient. Mm-hmm. We saw him only miss like 4 passes, and they weren't down. He wasn't throwing down the field a lot.
No, he's doing what he's asked to do.
But he's able to be so efficient, and because of the ball control and being able to move it, they can play field position all game long and do things like force turnovers. And because if they don't have the 3 turnovers, I think that game goes the other direction.
But if they don't have that Irving dude they took off the scrap heap from Kansas City, who decided to basically become Lawrence Catfish Taylor in the 4th quarter, that game's differently.
That's because that right tackle. We've watched a lot of bad offensive linemen.
It wasn't just Churlish, though. Like, they brought in some other dude to play, and he got his ass handed to him.
Yeah. It was it was a rough day for that side of the offensive line. And
man.
Yeah, because Irving... How come I've never heard of this guy?
Because apparently nobody, even the Kansas City Chiefs, who can identify pass rushers, they've been pretty good at that over the years. Looked at this guy and was like, nope, can't play. Yeah, he's a second coming of Lawrence Taylor. I don't know, but
well, the difference in this.
How are you feeling about this team? After this, Brandon, I just kind of wanted to get a big picture, bird's eye view kind of feeling from this.
The difference for me really is how this team performs at home and away, because on the road, this team is not good.
No.
Reds inside the red zone on the road, they're under 1 touchdown a game.
Yeah.
They're the only team in the league. They're number 32 in the league in red zone scoring when they're on the road.
Wow.
That's bad.
That's pretty bad. No, so what do you think is the reason for that? And don't just say offensive line.
The offensive line.
Well, because, I mean, that's what everybody just wants to point to. And when I say this is a flawed team, I'm not just pointing at the offensive line. I mean, the pass rush comes and goes. You know, Jeremy Lane and Deshaun Shedd can be picked on by a good quarterback and a good receiver. I mean, there's holes, kind of all over this roster.
The problem on the road really is the offense, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're the problem. I can't point to the defense and say they perform maybe not as well on the road, but still really well.
They play fairly well, yeah. So is it just a matter of you have a very young offensive line and the idea that they have a hard time communicating when it's on the road?
Maybe with the noise issues on the road, like that's just enough. Like the defensive line, it gives them that much more of an edge against our bad offensive line.
Right.
That on the road, it's that minor of a difference, but it makes that much of a difference.
Right. It's that the margin for error is that thin.
Right.
For these guys.
That's what I think.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's as good an explanation as any. Because I've been racking my head and I didn't want to come back to just that. But it is kind of that. Look, and the other thing is that Russell Wilson had some bonehead throws in this last game. I mean, he threw a pick. He almost threw another pick on the Jimmy Graham play there in the end zone that we were just talking about. He's coming off a game where he chucked up 5 picks. He hasn't been as sharp.
I still think it has to go back to the offensive line. Otherwise, why would Russ play worse on the road than he does at home? Other than being at home is just comfortable.
Other than most quarterbacks play worse on the road than they do at home?
Usually, yeah.
How can we get back to being the team that beat the Patriots in New England on the road?
Was that just an anomaly?
I guess it has to be at this point, right? Because you have so much more evidence pointing towards this is how this team is on the road, as far as them losing multiple games and looking like garbage on the road than you do just one game where they look good on the road.
Well, the Seahawks, they do come away with the 24-3 victory over the Rams. They get the NFC West title, and now it's on to the Cardinals, Adam.
On to the Cardinals. Cardinals coming off a tough loss to the New Orleans Saints last week in a shootout. This is
a shootout in Arizona.
Yeah. So a team that's tough to get a gauge on. They do come to the clink. We understand that the Hawks are a much different team, at home. This is a super important game when you talk about the idea of locking up the 2 seed. We were given the gift of a Lions stinker this last week and helping us get back to the number 2 position. And This is something they cannot give up, man. This is so important.
The number 2 seed is very important. And we see why, because the Seahawks just do not perform well on the road. I don't know what team in the past to kind of liken this to. I was looking back. The 2012
Seahawks, man.
Well, the 2012 Seahawks, they did go undefeated at home, but I feel like they were a little bit better on the road in terms of scoring. The 2005 Seahawks went undefeated at home, but that was a 13-3 team that went to the Super Bowl. There was the 2003 Seahawks that went undefeated at home, and maybe they're the closest. Maybe they're the closest to a team that could just pour it on at home, get the wins, and then that weren't that great on the road. And that was the year that Matt Hasselbeck went to Green Bay game. That was the playoff game where we want the ball and we're going to score.
Yeah. No, that's a great comp, actually, the 03 Hawks.
That might be.
I hadn't thought about that.
Except that was a very different offense from this Hawks team.
Oh, sure.
It's just the way, the mentality on the road.
Yeah, the road struggles were just as real.
And those were the years where it seemed like any time we went east, right? Like farther east than, I don't know, St. Louis.
Yeah.
Well, you know who might have some perspective on this is Darin Pike. Why don't we let's say we get Darin on the phone and let's break down this Cardinals game a little bit more.
Sounds like plan.
Now now welcome on Darin Pike. Darin was a former featured columnist for Bleacher Report. He and I both did the featured columnist thing together back in the days of Bleacher Report when, just normal fans seemed to write on that site.
Yeah, you're a couple of show-offs, both featured writers.
Featured columnist, Adam.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Darin, welcome back to the show. You were our first guest on the show. I always like having you back on.
I always love getting back on there with you two. It's like homecoming week.
Yeah, it's fun. And speaking of homecoming week, we have something to celebrate. What was your takeaway this week when the Seahawks, they finally get off the schneid against the Rams, 0-3 in the last 3 games, and to get the win and to get an NFC West title? How did you feel?
Relieved. That's about the only way to put it.
Yeah.
It's hard to revel in a win over what we saw was a very bad offensive team. They still have some quality on defense, but their offense is just sad. There's no other way to put it. So,
but they have Todd Gurley and they have the number 1 pick, Jared Goff. You'd think they'd be able to put something put a little bit of something together.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it just hasn't quite clicked with them. You see little flashes from Goff that he's going to be able to sit back there and make the right reads, but when he does that, he's not making the throw. So, maybe at some point he can put all that together and be a franchise quarterback, but they've got some work to do with him. Whomever ends up taking over that.
We don't need that to happen. No, we're good with the Rams being bad.
Yeah. I like 4-12 for Los Angeles.
That's fun.
It does. It feels right.
It's a karmic kick in the butt for him for stealing St. Louis's team.
Yeah, they needed a little bit of that.
Yeah, I'm never sad about that. Now, Darin, you talked about this Rams team not being the greatest, a little offensively challenged. How do you feel about the Seahawks now after watching them get smoked in Green Bay and then have, from what Brandon and I discussed a little earlier on the podcast, a performance that they should have maybe won by 45 instead of not 24? How are you feeling about the team?
I feel all right. I'm not quite as excited as I'd like to be. I think I've got some understanding of maybe what happened in Green Bay, but I'm not losing sleep over that. But we saw the same Seahawks team that we've seen year in and year out, where they go out, they wear you down, they play conservative ball, and what seems like a close game, they end up winning by 3 touchdowns. So I think we're going to continue to see that team for the rest of the season.
So as far as you're concerned, the Green Bay game was a bit of an anomaly, and maybe there were some things going on. The New England game, that, talking about being as excited as you want to be, I think we go back to how we felt after that game against New England, going on the road, getting the win against Tom Brady. That was as excited as I think a Seahawks fan could be at any point during the season. And
during a regular season, of course.
Yeah. And so where did that go?
Well, there were a few things that came up between then and now. We had some shuffling on the offensive line. We had injury issues, and guys have to get familiar with their spots. Having Justin Britt out for a week, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think you've seen some of the discussions I've had about how important Britt is to this team and how I think he should be in the Pro Bowl because of what the difference he does make in that position. But without him, that offensive line is lost. But some stability there and the guys getting a little more familiar with each other will be a big difference. Just there's some losses on the defensive side.
Yeah.
So
Earl Thomas. I mean,
yeah.
When you lose, where do you rank Earl Thomas? Is he the best player on this defense?
I would put him basically hugging Cam for first and second.
Yeah.
For me, Cam is my, I don't know if I want to say my favorite, but to me, Cam is the soul of that defense that makes things work. But Earl's right there with him because of what he does. So losing Earl is, you lose the heart of your defensive unit.
So the Hawks go into this game against the Cardinals, obviously down Earl Thomas, and we saw Terrell out there this last game. And, had some up and down moments. He should have given up a long touchdown, even though the receiver couldn't pull it in for the Rams there. How do you expect Carson Palmer to really go after Terrell and Lane, who seem to be kind of the weakest links in the secondary at this point?
I hope he goes after Terrell. I think he will. I think he'll try going deep because he's Carson Palmer, and that's what he loves to do.
That's what he does.
And I hope he does because we can send no better message out to the rest of the NFL that go deep on Terrell, it'll make you pay, which means please, Steven, please get back on your routes and make the plays that I believe he can make. I think he's a quality free safety. Clearly, he's no Earl Thomas. Nobody is. But I think Terrell can make quarterbacks regret going deep on him. And that's what we need to see out of him over the next couple of weeks. So we don't have quarterbacks coming in thinking they can just tear it up downfield and getting a few plays in.
Well, if there's one team that's worse on the road this year than the Seahawks, it's the Arizona Cardinals. They have one win on the road, and that was in San Francisco, and Drew Stanton was the quarterback for the Cardinals. Carson Palmer has 0 wins on the road this year.
Well, one thing that's interesting to me about this matchup coming up this week is that the Cardinals are now officially eliminated from playoff contention. And I don't know that we've seen a Bruce Arians team that really has nothing to play for as far as their own future. What do you expect energy level, effort-wise from the Cardinals this week, Darin? Do you think that they're going to come out and be somebody that is just trying to ruin the Seahawks season here? Or do you think maybe they give up on the guy who wears stupid hats?
Oh, get the right hand in that right face, and we got Santa Claus right there.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I think we're going to see a little bit of a chippy Arizona squad come out, which is something we don't have the luxury of losing a player to, a questionable shot. Let's put it that way. There's still some players on that team that have some pride, and some guys couple guys that are playing for contracts. Not too many, but guys that want to make a statement as the season winds up. And that's a dangerous place. We've seen it from the Rams when we faced them late in the season, where they do what that team has done for quite a while, and that's take some shots that a lot of players in the NFL don't find appropriate. So I'm hoping we don't see that from Arizona, but that's my concern going into that game, because they have nothing left to play for other than embarrassing Seattle.
Well, the thing that we saw with the Cardinals and the Seahawks in that 6-6 tie, that defensive line was getting after Russell Wilson. And what's your take on the Cardinals defensive line? Are they that good, or is the Seahawks offensive line that bad? Because it seems like when they're at home, when the Seahawks are at home, they did well enough to get the win against Miami early in the season. They did well enough to get the win, obviously, against the Rams at home. It was a completely different look against the Rams defensive line last week than it was earlier in the season. What's the difference between the offensive line on the road and at home?
There's a couple things in play. When you look at that Arizona game, unless my mind is gone, that was where we saw Fant come in late, following the injury. So he had a rough start, but he's a completely different player now than an experienced guy that took the field that day. But a lot of it just comes down to crowd noise. When they're down and they're trying to adjust their sets at the line of scrimmage, and Britt's trying to get people going after the right guys, it's pretty tough to do in a loud environment. Nice and quiet for the offensive line to make adjustments at home, whereas they can't do that so easily on the road.
Because we had this discussion earlier, Adam and I did, and that was the conclusion I came to too. So it's interesting that you would come to the same conclusion without. It's strange that the margin's that thin with this team.
Well, I think when you look at the talent of that offensive line, it's not where you've got guys that have played together for 3 years and they're all going to see the same thing when they go up there anyway. If you had an experienced offensive line like what you've got in Dallas or maybe New England, the guys can walk up and the center doesn't have to make the same level of adjustments as they have to when you've got, 17 guys on that offensive line that are playing that position for the first time in their life. So
it feels like that many.
It does. So when you've got that level of inexperience, especially at the NFL level, they need to all get on the same page, and it's tough to do in a loud environment.
Now, I'm questioning myself asking you this next question, Darin, because I don't want to jinx things for this coming Saturday game. But you kind of predicted the downfall of the Cardinals the past earlier this season. And I wanted to bring you on to recognize that fact that you did. You called your shot, and we did see it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We had a discussion right before the season started. And there were some things we saw at the end of last season, over the off season, some guys they brought in that, I like to call it harmonics, that things just aren't going to quite balance out well in the locker room. you bring in a guy like Kimdiche that's maybe not the most positive guy in the locker room, that has some issues that a team has to be ready to absorb. And they brought in a few other defensive players that just don't have that warm, touchy, feeling in the locker room. And you have Carson Palmer that's getting older. And when I look at the team and you kind of glance at that roster, it's like, oh my gosh, look at the star power on this roster, but they're just not performing. Well, you go past the skill positions, and you've got a suspect offensive line. You've got 3 linebackers that not a one of them would be starting in Seattle or a lot of teams in the NFL. You look at a secondary, it's like they've got Honey Badger and they've got Patrick back there. It's like, how could they not be? Well, then you've got Tony Jefferson, and he's not the best safety, and you got issues at the other corner. And we've seen in Seattle, if you've got Cam's out and you're fit at the other corner position, teams can take advantage of that. And that's exactly what's happened to that team this year. Carson's been a little better than I thought he would be. Part of my prediction was Carson really hitting the wall this year, but
he's stayed relatively upright.
He has.
Yeah.
He has. So there are just things I saw going on with that team that I just didn't expect him to finish over 500 this year.
One of the things I wonder about the Cardinals and where they're at this year is if Bruce Arians has a little bit of a Harbaugh effect, in the sense that we saw, Jim Harbaugh come in and change that team around quickly, the Niners, and then kind of burn out the front office and every player and every coach. And I kind of get the sense that Bruce Arians has that same sort of persona. And I wonder how much of their decline has to do with Bruce Arians basically burning out the organization.
He's intense, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can only live on fumes for so long. So I definitely think that's part of it.
And as a Seahawks fan, it's been kind of fun to watch the rivals come and go. I mean, you've got, the Niners are your big rival, and then suddenly now they're 1-46. And then you've got the Cardinals now, who were in an NFC Championship game last year, and come in this year and lay a big egg. I think we have to give Pete Carroll a lot of credit for running a very steady, positive program. And I think he really has shown the foundations of what football programs will look like in the future.
Yeah, he's definitely a different kind of coach. And was a lot made of it when he came to Seattle. And a lot of people said that you couldn't succeed with that style of the NFL. And I love seeing him prove everybody wrong. So I definitely think that the Harbaughs and the Arians will have their spot. I can see a team like Los Angeles right now hiring someone like that for 2 seasons to turn things around and get things going. But you've got to have a backup plan on someone to come in and kind of keep those pieces put together.
Definitely. Well, Darin, really wanted to thank you for coming back on the show. And what do you think for Saturday? Is this going to be a shootout type of game? Are we going to be able to see a team that can hold on to the number 2 seed after Detroit gifted it back to us?
I will be shocked if we lose that number 2 seed. I think right now the only thing we really have to watch is if we can nail down that top scoring defense again. And I think up against the Cardinals, as long as Terrell can keep the back of that defense secure, I think we could definitely gain some ground on that this weekend. So
I hope so. Well, Darin, folks can follow you on Twitter at Darin Pike. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Pleasure as always, guys. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
On this week's 3 and 3 Out, we're singing some stones as this W against the Hollywood Rams delivered us some satisfaction. Sure, we'll have to talk run blocking, but we'll be celebrating the number 93 propelled by a rocket. We'll discuss Morgan's meaning to this team's edge and Coach Carroll going all double dare and taking the physical challenge. What's it all mean? Decipher this week's 3 and 3 Out, written exclusively for the Seahawkers podcast.
Thanks to Clinton Bonner for the promo of his 3 in, 3 out this week. You can check it out at Seahawkerspodcast.com/3i30. And of course, you can join the Seahawkers by going to Seahawkers.org and checking out all the chapters that are all around the U.S. and even overseas.
It makes you 3 points cooler instantly. So just do that.
It's true.
Yeah.
That sounds like a D&D reference.
A D&D. Like
Dungeons and Dragons.
I thought you meant designated driver reference. Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
It'll get you 3 more experience points in Dungeons and Dragons.
No, see, the thing is, I said cool points, and I'm not sure those exist.
Your definition of cool might be different.
It is.
All right. Well, let's get into our Pick'em League winners, Adam, because we missed talking about the Pick'em League winners last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I should announce that the DCH won the Patron League last week.
Wow. Well played, DCH. I did not, and I didn't win it this week either because I forgot to pick the first 2 games, including our beloved Seahawks, which I don't think should give me a negative 40 because I didn't pick against them.
Right. But it is kind of on you for, knowing that there's a Seahawks game and not locking in your picks.
I knew there was a Seahawks game. I watched it while working, so I think that gets me off. Gets me off the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah, thank you. Because the hook.
This week's winner was Believe in 3. So Martin with 180 points. He wins week 15. Congrats to Martin.
Oh, well played, Martin.
I think that's his first win.
Oh, I think it is too. So that's got to feel good. I didn't pick 2 games and I would have been close, I think. I think I had like 160.
I'm almost positive you weren't going to pick the Dolphins, though. So
no, I would have picked the Dolphins in that game.
I don't know. Oh, you say that now.
No, I generally would have. I hate them.
I know. That's why I picked the Dolphins this week, thinking that you were going to pick against them.
Who did they play again? Because it was a no-brainer.
It was the Jets.
Yeah, you picked the Dolphins in that game.
It was in New York.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd fall for it.
No, the Jet team had given up like weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, some people pick the Jets.
They're dumb.
Oh, boy. All right. You know who's not dumb?
No.
Our new members of the flock.
You're right. They're all geniuses.
Because they support our great show. And we'll kick it off with Cyrus Habib, who he cleansed his chakra as he followed through with his donation that he mentioned last week. So, Cyrus, thank you for the 2 Tanner McAvoys.
Yes, a man of his word. Came through. Absolutely.
Exactly. And also thanks to new Ring of Honor member David Martin.
All right. Well, welcome, David. And that'll be fun once I have time to participate on the Ring of Honor again. I can't wait to talk to all of you new folks who have joined.
We've been tagging you in a few posts just so you'd make sure that you see them.
I haven't seen them.
No, but eventually.
I'll get to it. Yeah. Okay. It's not because I don't care. I'll be there.
And a welcome to the flock to Alan Kahn, who's in for a sticker in the bonus shows.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Alan. It's glad to have you.
A note here from David said, "Hey guys, finally got around to joining the flock after a bit of time, a sporadic listening. You've gained a new patron and a regular listener from Scotland. Keep up the great shows."
Oh, cool. Well, thanks, dude. And I wonder if he's a knight. I kind of I think everybody
from Scotland
is a knight.
I would.
Sean Connery's a knight. I think Craig Ferguson's probably a knight.
And even if they're not a knight, I bet they know how to put on a suit of armor.
Yeah, well, they at least know how to handle a sword. Right. We know that. Yeah.
And they play golf too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Just throw out all the Scottish stereotypes. Yeah. And they can recite Braveheart by heart.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because you can never take their freedom.
That's a good movie. Also wanted to thank our 1-year flock members who joined us back in December 2015.
You guys are amazing.
Mason Bartleson, Brian Graff, Aaron Wilson, Benjamin Courtlever, Justin Johnson, Alicia Prince, Jameson Holman, Ron Pepper, Ella Esparza, James Kumick, Jeannie Bowen, and Ivan Gonzalez.
Man, you guys are amazing. A year ago, I mean, these are like the founding fathers. Like, these are people that they should write history books about when it's all said and done.
That's true.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We literally could not do half as what we do without all you guys.
It definitely keeps us going during the holiday season.
It does.
Because we know people are counting on us getting out an episode. And at times like this, when Adam is working like 12-hour days.
Yeah.
And
with the public and on point.
Right.
Like, can you imagine? You all know my personality, but I got to be like nice to like people. And you know how many times I've had to wish people like a Merry Christmas and like freaking mean it?
Right.
Yeah.
All day long.
Like all day long.
That's exhausting.
Yeah. And with about every third kid you toss up on Santa's lap that bursts into, terror and screaming like you're trying to drown it in a bathtub or something. Like it's awful. It's awful. And yet I still manage to be chipper. So the idea that we get to this point and still put out the pod is because of you guys, the people that have been so loyal to us. We can't bag out, man. Got to do it. Got to pull it together.
We might back out on a pick'em show, but not this one.
No, because that's more of the hobby show
right
at this point. And you guys don't want to hear Jared anyway.
Well, a couple of news items that came out from since we recorded the first half of the show.
What kind of items?
News.
These are news.
Well, it's news-ish.
Wait, is TMZ a news station?
Well, it's Pro Football Talk.
No. I'm asking, is TMZ a news station?
I don't believe I saw this on TMZ.
I'm not asking if you saw this on TMZ. I'm asking if TMZ is a news station.
News-ish.
No, it's not. And this sort of story belongs exactly on TMZ. It doesn't belong on PFT. They have the wrong acronym in front of this. The person writing this article.
Well, this is more follow-up to Richard Sherman because he did hold his, and it's because the Wednesday press conferences got moved to Tuesday with the Saturday game, so we get a little bit more from the players and the coaches on these days. And Sherman took the podium today to kind of explain himself of what he may have been thinking with when he had his objection on throwing the ball on the 1 yard line. Mm-hmm. And he got up there and he answered all the questions, and he was definitely defensive. He didn't enjoy the line of questioning because, but he made the point of saying that on good teams like the Seahawks have, they have the chemistry, they have the ability to kind of have discussions that maybe other teams wouldn't have because they're not having the kind of discussions they're having about scenarios like this. It's because
they have good communication because they're close.
Communication. They have it's coming from a good place, not a bad place.
Right. You can address difficult topics, but it can still be done in a way that is constructive and overall healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was essentially the point that Sherman was trying to make. But the media on this, a very different side of the issue.
No way!
I know.
Stunned. Did they try to turn this into a controversy?
Yes, they tried to turn it into a controversy.
Oh, my.
And because, as you can imagine, when bad teams get into situations like this, it's a very different tone. It can be adversarial. Mm-hmm. You can get the defense having a very different feeling than the offense, and I think the media was trying to stir that up in this scenario. So the line of questioning, it all started with Jim Moore, and
he's kind of known for being like a little blunt and direct and like oddball-y.
Yeah,
like he gets under people's skin sometimes.
He does,
and I don't know that it's always intentional either. Like I think he's just a little bit of an awkward kind of guy in a way.
Well, yeah,
he doesn't understand lines real well.
But I don't
dislike him. I'm just saying.
No, and I think it's important that you have reporters like that who can ask questions in a way that might get under a player's skin a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's good for news, for one, if you can get under a player's skin.
Sure, it's good for gossip. Yeah.
Right. And it worked out quite well in this case. Right. Because he asked the question to Sherman, said, what I don't quite understand is Darrell Bevell is calling plays, and he thinks they're going to work, and yet you think maybe he should have a better handle on what should be called. And Sherman responds by saying, no, we just have prior experience. So we talked about it because he was talking about how he met with Bevell and they talked it over. But let me guess, you have a better play call. Let me guess, you have better experience. And Moore says, no, I don't. And Sherman says, well, then you should probably, stop. But then apparently after the press conference, he goes over to Moore and says, you don't want to go there. You do not. I'll ruin your career. And this apparently is according to Jim Moore because this was not on record. And so Moore says, you'll ruin my career. And yes, I will. And Moore says, how are you going to do that? Sherman says, I don't think I'll make sure you don't get a media pass anymore. Oh, is that right? Yes, it is. That's the exchange that Jim Moore reported in the Seattle Times.
Oh, my stars, Brandon. Oh, my stars. Did Sherman say something's kind of mean to the poor little reporter?
I know.
Oh, make sure to ink that up and turn it into a controversy because his little feelers got hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I saw so basically I'm doing the Santa stuff and I just see the alert pop up on my phone saying that Sherman threatens reporter. Yeah. Threatens is like, I'm going to come by your house, knife your tires, and steal your wife. That's like a threat. Like, I'm going to take away your media pass. Oh, yeah? Oh, geez, Louise. What kind of gossip nonsense is this?
Taking away Moore's media pass might do him a favor.
How so?
I don't know if that would ruin his career.
No, that certainly would not ruin his career. And it's a bunch of talk. Sherman got defensive. And, oh no, the outlandish guy said something slightly outlandish.
Right. and a guy known for, kind of spouting off a little bit.
He's bombastic. He's bombastic. And then on top of that, but here's one thing, though, I'd say to Sherman is like, look, if you're going to be the guy who spouts off, then when times are tough and people ask you tough questions,
right,
you got a man up there too. So yeah, his skin a little thin here. He needs to thicken that up a little bit. He's usually pretty good in that area, but he had a slip. And look, I mean, I understand if I was in the public spotlight as much as Sherman is, and I was needled as much as he is on every little stinking thing that he do, I would have lost it a long effing time ago. Yeah. There's no way. And for Jim Moore to come out and play the victim, geez Louise, put on your skirt, Jim.
Oh,
just stop it. Oh, Richard Sherman's is mean to me, and then it's a giant story. I hate this kind of garbage. What time of year is this, Brandon? Are we in the regular season?
It feels like it's the off season now.
Yeah, this is dumb.
I guarantee you Jim Moore didn't have his feelings hurt. He knows what makes a good story. And He knows that putting this up online is going to get clicks.
No way.
It is.
And is that good for his career?
Definitely.
Oh, so he might get raises for these sort of things.
Well, maybe not raises, but
I'm just saying,
able to continue working.
Yeah, you keep doing this and it furthers your career.
Because he's not doing it with his weekly picks, his weekly lock of the week.
Right. That hasn't been good for him.
Not so good.
Okay. Yeah, so whatever. This is such a non-story.
No, but it's fun to talk about.
It's slightly worthy of a mention.
Maybe that's a better way to put it. Also worthy of a mention.
Yeah.
Earl Thomas was on the Rich Eisen show earlier today.
Right.
And the point about, I think, the interview there to recognize is that when he tweeted out that he was considering retirement, it wasn't it wasn't him being funny or a joke. He really was probably considering it. And I think it goes back to what you were saying about when you have a bunch of money in the bank.
Yeah.
And when you have a 4-year-old daughter at home and you get to spend some time. And he talked about it in the interview, really having some time to get to know her.
Yeah.
It makes you think about, I could probably do this and not go back to football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's how you think for the first maybe month. Maybe 2, you're spending time with the new wife. Right. That's real fun. You're hanging out with the 4-year-old. That seems real fun until after about month 5. And the kid's just asking you why all the time. Why this? Why that? Why are shoes tied? Why is the sky blue? Why is daddy thinking about retirement? And he'll think to himself, yeah, why am I thinking that? The thing about all this is, what I'll believe anything about Earl Thomas still thinking about retirement? It's going to be a hell of a long time from now. We're talking 6-7 months. Give the man some time. He's going to say some things and they're going to blow it up and make it into a story like the media does. This is stupid.
Well, just to give an example of 2 different things that he said during the interview, 2 very different ways that you could headline the story.
Sure.
Of course, Pro Football Talk goes with Earl Thomas caught in between retiring and returning. Because he did say that. And he said he's caught in between. It didn't sound like he was strongly considering it, but that was his quote.
Right.
But he also, in the same article, said that he was just at the VMAC the other day and his competitive juices came right back. So you could easily headline the story, Earl Thomas returns to Seahawks practice facility and his competitive juices are flowing.
Right. So I'm going to guess that gets precisely half as many clicks as which way that you could title it?
Yeah, the considering retirement.
Oh, right. Oh, this makes a lot of sense now.
Exactly.
Golly.
Just a little peek behind the curtain from guys who follow media quite a bit.
Yes.
Went to school for it.
Right, exactly. Being the experts that we are. But I mean, geez, Louise.
I mean, not experts, but just moderately.
Speak for yourself. I'm a genius expert. I'll take it a step further.
Words matter, Adam. I'm trying to make sure the words are that you title our positions on this correctly.
It feels correct in my heart.
Master expert.
Yeah. No, genius expert.
Oh, genius.
Yeah,
okay.
Words matter, Brandon. Get them right.
Well, we got a few emails to get to before we get to do better and better at life.
All right.
First one here from Fernando in Mexico
nice. It's been a little while since we heard from Fernando. All right.
And he says, first, I want to thank you again for the enormous effort you put in each week to put the show together. I always enjoy it. Also want to thank you for those cool stickers you sent. And as a member of the flock, invite the fellow 12s to join and support the show.
Correct.
And if you do want to support the show, getintheflock.com.
Right. Yeah.
That's where you go.
Yeah. You're going to feel good about it. And it's the Christmas spirit. It's the time to give.
I think we got that reminds me, we got a raise from Ella today.
Yes.
That was cool to see.
That was cool to see. Yeah. She felt like she was slacking off because, her husband also listens to the show. And somehow she felt like they're taking advantage 2-for-1. But here's the thing. Like, you pay once, as many people in the room that listens, like, we're not going to make you.
Yeah.
Well, we don't make you do it at all. But, like, we're not going to ask you to, like, for every random set of ears that listens to the show with you.
But it was nice to see. So a nice little Christmas present. So thank you, Ella.
Back to Fernando.
Says, on the team, I think that after watching the 13 games, it is clear that the offense simply does not travel well. On the beginning of the season, I thought it had more to do with how the offensive line gelled together or how it matched the opposing team. Now it looks more evident that it has to do where the team is playing. After 7 games away, we're 2-4-1, averaging 14.5 points per game, including games of 3, 6, 5, and 10 points. Ugh. Even the 20 points against New Orleans are deceiving, as they are sweetened by the 7 points from our beloved Earl fumble return. In the 5 matches combined, Russell Wilson has only 1 touchdown pass and is the one in garbage time in the Green Bay game. Of course, the games against the Jets and Pats were great games away, but feel more to me like outliers than anything else. On the other hand, when playing at home, we're 6-0, we're scoring 28 points, and this was before the Rams game, so 7-0, and scoring over 28 points, that is twice as many as away. So my question now is, which is the real 2016 Seahawks team? Is it the team or part of it, namely the offensive line overperforming at home? Or is it that we underperform in games away? Clearly, Russell Wilson is not the same away and home. Is it purely the effect of the O-line, or is he having some issues outside? I would never blame number 3, as that is blasphemy. But I have a hard time believing the trio of Sowell, Fant, Gilliam are really able to make this huge difference in how this team, as they are mostly always putrid. Based on my very basic analysis, it is more important than ever to get that bye week, as it would put us in great position to get the conference final and, with a little luck, either travel to Dallas, which could become a winnable matchup, or even receive the game at CenturyLink Field. Let me know what you think. Best regards, Go Hawks.
Well, Fernando, I think he probably got a lot of the answers to a lot of those questions through the beginning part of the podcast. I mean, we hit on a lot of those things.
We did, and that may have influenced why I brought that up as a discussion point.
Oh, okay. So, Fernando, well, why didn't you read his email in the middle of the show then?
I'm asking myself that same question right now.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well,
this would have fit really well earlier on in the show.
Right. All right. Well, we're still learning too. Like we're not experts at podcasting yet. We do it. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all a little perplexed yet still. I think that the offensive line does struggle with communication on the road. I think that's kind of what we boiled it down to earlier.
That's a good wrap-up point on this.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
An email from John Davison says, "Hey, fellas. Well, back to winning ways and a comfortable win, but not yet back to a high level, I think. I cannot claim to have suffered the whole game live, as it kicked off at 1:30 a.m. Friday morning here. I decided to watch, but woke up on the couch at 6:23 a.m., but thank goodness it was taped. It's Sunday now as I type this, and it's quite relaxing getting ready for the game later, knowing you have won, and also the team has at least a mini bye week to get healthy, which should be good. I noticed later that Gilliam was playing, so did he play in front of Sowell, and how did he do? I'm noticing a lot of negativity about us at the moment, but remember, there is money on this, and I totally agree with Adam that we can still go to the Super Bowl. Name your Super Bowl pairing now, and I bet it's different from last week and different from next week. No one is dominating this year, and it's a different tale every week, so let's get behind them, because I don't see any reason why we couldn't go to Dallas and win. It doesn't fill me with dread. I see that we're also getting trolled by Skip Bayless having a go at Richard Sherman in particular. Do better. Anyways, it's that time of year, so obviously go Hawks, but also a very Merry Christmas to all Hawks fans wherever you are in the world. In particular, best wishes to you both from the repressed side of the pond. John Davison.
John, Merry Christmas.
Indeed.
Did that sound genuine?
Well, I don't know. You've been working at this.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
I think it did.
Okay, cool. Like, yeah, but no, we agree with you 1,000,000%, John. I mean, again, we talked about this a little earlier. I mean, it is wide open. I feel like that Dallas team is not exactly the juggernaut that the media makes it out to be. They've won a lot of tight games, and they're also relying on rookies to lead the way. And I think in a lot of ways, that should be concerning to everybody in Texas.
I like it. I would almost like just to go down to Texas and win that game.
Oh, I'd love that.
And then just stay in Houston for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like you're already there.
Yeah. I mean, who needs the frequent flyer miles? Like, let's just
come back and forth.
We'll just make it a one-way ticket
and just stay there.
Let's make a one-way ticket to Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because they don't need to come back for a while because they got business.
And John also adeptly pointed out that we saw there was a Gilliam sighting in this game. Ended up playing 25% of the snaps at right tackle. So that competition between Sal and Gilliam, it's on.
Oh, on the edge of my seat, Brandon, to see which one of these mediocre at best players wins out. Hooray!
I have a feeling it is just about equal.
Yeah.
That's why it's tough to make the decision.
It sure is. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to choose between turd sandwiches. Like, you take the greasier one or the more solid one. You don't know. Either way, it's turd sandwich.
It's a slightly easier choice than that.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't know. One goes down a little easier.
Gross. That may influence my better at life this week.
Okay, all
right. One final email from the Mule. Yes. Says, and it's good to hear back from him because we were concerned about him last week.
We were.
He says, wow, that was a rough one. Being at the Green Bay game did not make that any easier to handle. The Hawks walked into a very hostile atmosphere and gave one of the worst performances I've seen. Have we seen a rougher game for the defense? The receivers' hands were made of rubber. There was only one good drive in the game. However, there may be a positive. Did we need an embarrassing loss to refocus on the drive for a Lombardi? The pain of this one was very real to me, so I have to look to the future. Can the Hawks still turn this into a Super Bowl run? Can we make a run of the West and end up 11-4-1? I could really use some of that post-Super Bowl 49 therapy. Great show from the Mule. Says, P.S. Even though the game was rough, getting those tickets for my birthday still means that my girlfriend is better at life than Skip Bayless.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely. And just for the Mule, just one little reminder. I don't know if you've heard about this or not, Brandon, but we're going to the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, are we going to the Super Bowl?
We're going to the Super Bowl.
I have a good feeling about it.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, what do you say we get on to our do better at life?
All right, man.
All right, I'm going to kick us off with my do better. First, a real quick bonus do better for Star Wars Rogue One.
Okay.
How dare they have opening night of that movie on the Seahawks Thursday night game?
Whiff.
It totally threw off like a lot of our Seahawks fans who pre-ordered their Rogue One tickets way in advance before checking the schedule. And so they were stuck with the choice of going to see to fulfill their Star Wars fandom versus staying home and watching, a Thursday night week 15 game.
Well, I think where you're kind of missing the boat here, Brandon, is that we need to talk about the idea of self-reliance and, making sure that you do the right thing, and it basically, if you bought tickets that would go on a Thursday, Sunday, or Monday night during the football season, you are risking the fact that you may be missing a Seahawks game. That is on you. That is on you.
It is, but it's also having to decide between, two historically great franchises. It's a tough choice. It can be.
Well, I mean, the one thing is that the Seahawks play and then the game's over and it's live, and Rogue One will play over and over and over again until they bank $2 trillion off of this.
There's also DVR, and it's also a game against the Rams. And I don't know if you noticed, but we lost the last 3 games against the Rams.
I've been aware.
And we even previewed the fact that we thought the Seahawks would lose again because it is the Rams.
We reverse jinxed the crap out of that.
Yes, we did. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Finally.
Okay.
All right, my real do better though this week.
Okay, I was wondering.
Is another article. I think this was another Pro Football Talk article.
Wow.
They're in my stream of articles to follow. So this one from Mike Florio, and he's concerned that PR is influencing too many NFL decisions.
No way.
I know.
I felt a little sarcastic, surprised a lot this second half of the podcast, but yeah, I think you might have hit something.
So we saw on the Dallas game, we saw Ezekiel Elliott jump into the cauldron for the Salvation Army.
Sure.
That was a cute moment, right?
Absolutely.
Just like the guys falling down and making snow angels. It's cute.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But apparently there is something wrong with it because it is, one, against the rules to go to the ground in celebration. So that means you can't do snow angels.
He didn't go to the ground. He went to the pot.
No. I mean, for the guys doing snow angels.
Are you serious?
You can't go to the ground in celebrations, and you have to go to the ground to make a snow angel.
Holy cow.
And yes, using the cauldron as a prop is all, using a prop is against the rules, right? So these people should be fined, Adam.
Was Odell Beckham fined for like all of his antics with the field goal net?
Well, I think that was on the sideline after everything happened.
Oh, sure, because that's so different. It doesn't also get showed on the TV screen just like the other.
But apparently Florio's problem with this is that the NFL is actually considering how fining a guy like Ezekiel Elliott for doing something cutesy and hopping into, a bucket for a good charity like the Salvation Army.
Right.
That's clearly in their best interest not to fine Ezekiel Elliott for doing that.
Right. Yeah.
Because it looks dumb.
It does, because it is dumb.
Because it is dumb. And so now you can't have this both ways, media. You can't jump on the NFL and go, oh, they shouldn't fine him because if the NFL came out and fined him for that, they would be all over the NFL saying you can't fine a guy for doing that because he's having fun. And it's not, you hear it all the time, the no fun league, NFL. But yet, here you have Florio with the article saying that the NFL, they've got to be a stickler for the rule book because it's in the rules that you can't use props. Florio, you can't have it both ways. Do better.
He needs to do better, and he needs to find this little thing, and it's called common sense.
Right.
Is what Ezekiel Elliott doing? Was it a catfish move?
No.
Did it bring like actual attention to a good charity?
Yes.
That does something extraordinary during this time of year, each and every year? I mean, give me a catfishing break. Stop it. You know what? Just use it. Put on your common sense goggles for 2 seconds. Is this hurting anybody? No. Like just let it go, dude. Let it go. Listen to some Frozen music and let it go.
The NFL should allow PR to influence its decisions. It's making the right choice.
This isn't PR. I'm just saying common sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't throw, like the officials, don't throw a flag when Earl Thomas gives you a hug. That's common sense.
Chad Johnson throwing on a Hall of Fame jacket that he made on the sidelines 10 years ago when prancing around. Yeah, that was a douchey thing. Fine him. Common sense. Ezekiel Elliott hopping into the pot of gold like a leprechaun in the Salvation Army pot. Funny and good. Not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Don't fine him.
Don't fine if a guy's being a jerk. That's kind of a good dividing line, right?
Yeah.
Are you being a jerk or are you not being a jerk?
Right. Yeah. No, it's pretty simple.
Like wearing cleats that are personalized to help your favorate charity.
Not jerky.
Not jerky. Dorial Green Beckham pretending to have a charity so he can wear a certain kind of cleats that he wants to.
Easy.
Yeah. That's being a jerk.
Being a jerk.
You should be fined.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to spot.
Yeah.
I think
it's like knowing if it's a catch or not.
Right. Right.
It's almost the same thing.
Yeah. Your daughter's on it, yet somehow the NFL can't figure out how to do it. Just unbelievable. Well, I think we know we have a job in the NFL later. They just need to hire us to be the jerk police.
Right.
Like whether or not. Yeah. I mean,
is this a catch? And is this guy being a jerk?
Right.
And you just need an opinion panel.
Yeah.
And it'll be easy to decide.
Yeah. And we wouldn't be biased at all as Seahawks fans.
No. 3 pumps? That's not a jerk move.
No. But Cam Newton wouldn't even get a paycheck for playing the game.
Doing the Superman thing? That's being a huge
ripping
jerk.
Down a 12 flag? You just got fined your entire year's salary, bud. I'd be very even-handed about this.
Yeah. Very impartial.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Brandon, my do better this week is not football related. It is candy related. Ooh. Because this is important, man. My do better this week is for people who do not eat broken candy canes. What is wrong with you people? Like, number one, let's think about this a little bit.
What?
Yeah.
There's people that don't eat broken candy canes.
Oh, my gosh. So we give out candy canes after you get done talking to Santa, right?
Right.
Yeah, because that's what you do. And you got a basket full of candy canes, and invariably, there's a few that are broken within the basket. Man, people will fish all around. They'll leave. Like, when we get down to the bottom of the barrel, like, there'll be broken ones, and people will ask specifically, do you have more candy canes? Because they can't be bothered to eat a broken candy cane.
Can I just tell you what the first thing I do when I eat a candy cane?
You break it because it is the most inefficient sized piece of the most inefficient shaped type candy that there is out there. It's a fish hook. Right. And so when you eat it, like, it's got to stick out of your mouth and like hit you on the outside of the cheek, like when you fish hook yourself with it.
Yeah.
Or like you try to put the entire hook part in your mouth.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You look like an idiot. You end up breaking it. And yet, like, I see so many people, they'll take their little kid and they'll grab out the candy cane. Kid drops it on the floor and it breaks, inside the wrapper still, right? And they come back and they throw the broken one in the basket and then pick out a non-broken one. Because now this one is defective, even though now it's bite-sized. It's ready for you to consume.
Right.
The half the work's already done. I don't understand it. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Eat broken candy canes and do better.
I tell you what else I don't eat broken.
Yeah.
Fortune cookies. I never break those things. Eat them whole.
Eat them whole. Absolutely. Get a little extra
paper
fiber.
And everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what's in there, it never is a fortune.
It's not important.
No, not at all. And they're rarely funny, even when you add in bed to the end of it.
They're kind of funny when you do.
Yeah, it helps.
Well, my better at life this week, Adam, is for, we've talked about him a lot today, Richard Sherman.
Mm.
And unfortunately, right before last Thursday's game, on his Tuesday press conference, we totally missed out on this. But,
yeah, I've missed out on a lot lately.
But he started out his press conference in an epic way that gives us an outstanding soundbite. You have to hear this.
Poop fest. It's terrible. This is we played, freaking got home like 1:00 in the morning, something like that on Monday, and then you got to play again. I mean, congratulations, NFL. You did it again.
Poop fest.
Poop fest.
Poop fest.
Poop fest.
I like it. We need that as a sound drop forever.
Yes.
Yeah. We need to tell.
Oh, the local radio stations, they got all kinds of play out of it after it happened.
Oh, really? Are we behind the times now?
We're actually behind the times.
Then we can't do it.
I know.
Okay.
But it is there in case we ever need it.
Like a year or two from now, it'll be chic again.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's when we bust it out.
It is in the sound bank now for sure.
Fantastic.
But so for Richard Sherman doing that, for giving us that little nugget, if you will,
Poop fest.
The poop fest will be in our sound bank thanks to Richard Sherman, who is better at life than Skip Bayless.
You know what? You know who my better at life for Skip Bayless is this week, Brandon?
No.
Richard Sherman, but also a few other guys. He's one of them. So as we broke for the middle of our break in the show, it was announced that Richard Sherman, Cliff Avril, Bobby Wagner, Michael Bennett, all Pro Bowlers this year.
Pro Bowlers.
Well earned. Apparently, the Haitian vote coming through for Cliff Avril.
Nice.
Finally getting recognition for a dude who never gets recognition. So that's super cool. I felt like there's a few guys that were definitely left off the list. I feel like Cam Chancellor, the idea he was left off the list.
Guys that were named alternates. Here's the rundown of the guys who are the 8 alternates. Okay. Doug Baldwin, Justin Britt, Cam Chancellor, Jimmy Graham, Stephen Hauschka, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, and KJ Wright. All 8 of those guys named to the Pro Bowl alternate list.
Was Doug Baldwin?
Yeah, he was the first one I named.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well,
Doug Baldwin has better stats this year than AJ Green. Yeah, AJ Green made it, but AJ Green's AJ Green. So
he's a name. Yeah. And Doug Baldwin's pedestrian.
Right.
But I mean, just hats off to all those guys for really working their tail off and really showing the consistency to be Pro Bowlers year in and year out, or at least Pro Bowl caliber. In like Cliff Avril's case, like
first time.
I know.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And for a guy that went from an 0-16 team to winning a Super Bowl.
I think I've heard somebody say that before.
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of in on that.
Yeah. It was kind of your deal.
I know.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I bring it up because you were real smart in bringing it up in the first place. So I just wanted to make sure you remembered.
I'm glad you got that in there.
Yeah.
Because I would have said it.
Yeah. Yeah. And our boy Russell Wilson being named an alternate, I think is huge. And how about some Buttermilk pancakes?
Yeah.
Also being named an alternate. Well-deserved. Super cool. It kind of shows you, I mean, as much as I kind of ho-hummed about this team a little bit earlier in the podcast, it is chock full of talent, this roster. And they really do have the experience, the will, the coaching, and all the ingredients to make this work if they can pull it together. And it's cool to see him get recognized. So to all of you Seahawks who made the Pro Bowl / alternates, you guys are all better at life and Skip Bayless individually and combined.
I like that KJ Wright made that alternate list.
Another unsung dude, man.
Because, well, Richard Sherman brought this up several times leading up to the Pro Bowl, saying that he didn't think KJ Wright would get in. And he didn't. He wasn't named a Pro Bowl starter. Mm-hmm. But a big part of that is, and Sherman pointed this out, he plays a position that unless you have sacks as an outside linebacker, right, you don't get voted into that position. No. Your guys like Justin Houston and Clay Matthews, mm-hmm, those are the guys that get it because they rush the passer regularly and they pile up the numbers.
Yeah, they're more defensive ends than they are linebackers.
Right.
They just play in a 3-4 scheme rather than a 4-3 scheme,
right,
which is more or less what the Seahawks play.
More or less. Yeah. But KJ not in that position to where he racks up the numbers.
No,
an outstanding linebacker.
Yeah, he just plays linebacker like an old school linebacker.
Right.
And kicks ass at it.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, very cool, man. And hats off to all them. It's unfortunate for the NFL that they will not have any of those guys available to play in the Pro Bowl.
Some other teams' alternates will have to make it on the team.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, we're going to spread some love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I think that does it for this week's show. I think we're going to have to either put off the Santa hat discussion.
Yeah,
because we got some emails.
Yeah, great suggestions, great emails.
May go in a bonus show.
Yeah, that's where we put it. We'll put it in the bonus show.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a little teaser for you guys not in the flock.
Right.
Getintheflock.com. You can hear all about the suggestions that people had for the Santa hat.
Right.
And we do have a story about the Santa hat from this last week. So
that's exactly true. And look, I mean, wait, if you gave $1 a month for a year, what does that add up to, Brandon?
$12.
Whoa, that's magical.
I know. Okay. It's a magical number.
Yeah.
It's funny how it works out that way.
It is. So get in the flock, get the bonus shows, get your stickers, be a little cooler than you already are now. 3 coolness points. We talked about this.
We're going to throw in a bonus for anybody who joins in December and who have already joined. 3 bonus points for you.
Yeah. 3 coolness bonus.
Coolness.
Quit getting the coolness out of this.
Coolness bonus points.
Okay, that's a thing
for everyone.
All right,
and if you and you'll get your sticker too.
Yeah,
maybe I'll throw in the bonus points in with the sticker.
Right, that's what you do. Yeah,
bonus coolness points.
Right, because and then they come in and it helps your hawk run.
Right,
it's because it's a circle of life.
Just in time for the playoffs.
Exactly, because we're going to the Super Bowl.
Exactly,
and I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks! Thanks for tuning in to this week's show. As we mentioned, you can go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support. Maybe you're buying a jersey for a special someone, or buying a jersey for yourself, or maybe you're going to get tickets to a game.
Maybe you're buying a jersey to fulfill a bet.
That's exactly how I bought that jersey. And you know what? It kicked money back to the show.
That is serendipitous. You know what's better than a win, Brandon? 2 wins. You know what? And the thing about that is that if you do this for us, guys, if you go ahead and you buy your stuff just like you already would, and you do it through these affiliate links, you win, we win, all the wins, more wins for everyone.
Yep. You can get your stuff at Amazon. You can get your jersey purchases at Fanatics. You can get your tickets to a game. And yes, it all gets kicked back to the show. And you don't have to pay anything extra. You go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support and you can help us out there.
Holiday cheer, people. Start spending money with the Seahawkers podcast.